It was a dark and stormy night when Sarah set off for her long-awaited adventure. The incessant rain hammered against her car windows, blurring her vision as she made her way towards the airport. Despite the miserable weather, Sarah was filled with excitement at the thought of traveling the world and sharing her experiences with her loyal followers on Twitch. As she stepped off the plane, Sarah was struck by the eerie silence of the remote country she had always been fascinated by. The air was thick with an oppressive sense of foreboding, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Undeterred, Sarah pressed on with her plans to stream her adventures, eager to show her fans the beauty and mystery of the country she had long dreamed of exploring. However, her excitement quickly turned to fear when she discovered that the internet connection was spotty, and streaming her experiences was no easy feat. But Sarah was not one to give up easily. She persevered, determined to share every moment of her journey with her followers, no matter the cost. It wasn't long before she began to notice something strange, something ominous lurking in the shadows behind her streams. At first, Sarah brushed it off as her imagination, but as the days went on, the figure became more and more prominent, and Sarah could no longer ignore it. She tried to shake it off, but the figure continued to stalk her every move, appearing in every stream she broadcast and watching her with an intensity that made her blood run cold. One night, as she streamed from her hotel room, Sarah heard a knock on the door. She opened it to find no one there, but the sensation of being watched was stronger than ever. She could feel the stalker's eyes on her, following her every move, and she knew that she was in danger. The more she streamed, the more the figure began to close in on her, taunting her with its presence and evading her every attempt to escape. Sarah's streams became increasingly tense and frightening, as her fans watched the events unfold in real time, helpless to do anything but bear witness to the terror that was unfolding before their eyes. And then, one fateful night, Sarah's stream was hijacked by the stalker, and her fans watched in horror as he broke into her hotel room and attacked her. The stream abruptly ended, and Sarah's fate was left hanging in the balance, her followers left to speculate about what had happened to her. Some say that Sarah met a grisly end at the hands of her stalker, while others believe that she managed to escape and disappear into the night, never to be heard from again. But regardless of what happened to her, one thing was clear: the danger of sharing too much of your life with strangers on the internet was all too real. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, Sarah's story continued to haunt her followers, a cautionary tale about the dark and dangerous world of online streaming. And as they watched other streamers go about their lives, they couldn't help but wonder if they too were being watched, and if their own journey might one day end in a similarly terrifying fashion. In the dark corners of Twitch, where the worst of humanity lurked, there was a streamer who called himself the Dark Streamer. His streams were not for the faint of heart, for he reveled in the macabre, the grotesque, and the violent. He sought fame and glory, but he was willing to cross any line, to transgress any boundary, to attain his goal. At first, his streams were merely disturbing, but soon they became downright horrifying. He would subject himself to excruciating pain, mutilation, and torture, and he would do the same to his followers. He seemed to take pleasure in their suffering, in their screams and pleas for mercy, as if he were a god who could dispense pain and death with impunity. And yet, people kept coming back, addicted to the rush of adrenaline, the thrill of danger, the taboo of transgression. They were like moths to a flame, drawn to the darkness, even if it meant risking their lives. But the Dark Streamer was not content with mere notoriety. He wanted to push the boundaries even further, to create a spectacle that would shock the world, to play a game that nobody had ever heard of before. So, he announced that he would host a 24-hour streaming marathon, featuring a game that was both digital and physical, both virtual and real. He promised his viewers a journey into the heart of darkness, a descent into madness, a reckoning with the unknown. He did not reveal the name of the game, nor its rules, nor its goals. He only warned his viewers that they should not watch if they were faint of heart, weak of stomach, or easily scared. The stream began at midnight, with a flicker of the screen, a burst of static, a surge of electricity. The viewers were greeted by a dark, eerie, and ominous scene, with shadows lurking in the corners, with whispers in the background, with footsteps that seemed to come from nowhere. The game started innocuously enough, with a simple puzzle that required the players to solve a riddle, to find a key, to unlock a door. But as they progressed, the game became more and more twisted, more and more sadistic, more and more lethal. The Dark Streamer had hired a team of actors to play the game with him, to simulate the scenarios, to make it more immersive. But he had also hired some people who were not actors, who were not part of the game, who were not even aware of what was happening. As the game went on, it became clear that some of the actors were not acting anymore. They were being hurt, tortured, and killed by the dark streamer himself. He seemed to have lost all sense of reality, all morality, all sanity. The viewers were horrified, sickened, and traumatized. They tried to stop the stream, to report it, to warn others, but they were trapped in a virtual nightmare, unable to escape, unable to disconnect. The dark streamer laughed, taunted, and gloated as he played his game, as he indulged his fantasies, as he committed unspeakable acts of violence and horror. The 24-hour marathon turned into a 24-hour massacre, with blood on the screen, screams in the background, and a sense of dread and doom that permeated the air. When the authorities finally caught on, it was too late. The dark streamer had disappeared, leaving behind a trail of death and destruction. His victims were not only the actors he had hired, but also the innocent people who had stumbled upon his game, who had been caught in his web of deceit and madness. Some say that the dark streamer still haunts Twitch, luring unsuspecting viewers into his dangerous games.
I hope you enjoy the content I upload. If you like what I'm doing, why not think about clicking on the subscribe button to keep up to date on my uploads. Thank you all for the great support.
It all started with a naive young girl named Emily, who sought fame and fortune on the popular live streaming platform, Twitch. Emily's charming persona and captivating content quickly garnered her a loyal following, but her rise to stardom came with a sinister price. One day, Emily noticed an eerie username in her chatroom. It belonged to a man who called himself The Watcher, and something about his comments made Emily feel uneasy. At first, The Watcher's messages were benign, if not a bit peculiar, but soon his words grew menacing, and his intentions became clear. The Watcher began to send Emily twisted packages in the mail, each one more disturbing than the last. At first, it was small items like dead insects in cryptic letters, but it escalated quickly. Emily received a package with a blood-soaked rag, with her name scrawled in black ink. The stench of decay filled her nostrils as she opened the box, and bile rose in her throat. She knew it was only a matter of time before the Watcher found her. Emily tried to rationalize it, dismissing it as a sick joke, but the terror never left her. She became more paranoid and watched her every move. She would wake up to find her windows slightly open or to hear creaking in her floorboards. Every time she streamed, her eyes darted around the room, searching for any signs of danger. One fateful night, Emily's worst fears were realized when she felt an icy breeze on the back of her neck. She turned around to check her camera and caught a fleeting glimpse of the Watcher moving away from her door, his face hidden in the shadows. She knew then that she was in grave danger. Emily tried to keep streaming, to keep up her facade for her fans, but the Watcher was always watching. Every time she thought she had eluded him, he would strike again, always one step ahead. The Watcher's presence loomed over Emily like a shadow, and she knew that he could strike at any moment. The terror ate away at her sanity until she was no longer herself, but a shell of a person, always on edge, always in fear. One day, as suddenly as it began, the Watcher stopped. Emily never heard from him again, and she tried to convince herself that it was all over. But deep down, she knew that the Watcher was still out there, waiting for his chance to strike again. And so, Emily lived in constant fear, always looking over her shoulder, wondering if the Watcher was watching her every move.